Okay, so I'm a huge dino nerd. Like, a huge dino nerd. Jurassic Park is one of my favourite movies ever, but as an honest fan, the franchise hasn't had the same level of standards as that first movie. In a quick summary, for anybody interested, my ranking of the Jurassic Park movies is this. Starting at the top is Jurassic Park. It's obviously the best, it's a perfect movie. Its sequel, Jurassic Park The Lost World, is second and easily the most underrated, I love it. Then proceed by Jurassic World, not a perfect movie, but great moments that, as a fan, I really wanted and needed to see. Then Jurassic World Rebirth, a good film, beautifully shot but overrun with hybrids. We then have Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, again, well shot, great horror elements with some very stupid moments as well. Then we have Jurassic Park 3, they tried to make Jurassic Park a family-friendly, goofy movie, and I know there are some Spino fans out there, but I prefer Spinosaurus to how he looks now, and the film is just a mess. And then in last place is Jurassic World Dominion, just a hot mess of a movie. Why would anyone want to see giant locusts? But now that brings us to this show. I've watched this whole show since coming out, and I've enjoyed every second. It has some issues, which I'll talk about, but aside from the first film, this might be one of the best things to happen to the Jurassic Park franchise. With the final season all done, now is the perfect time to talk about the whole show. I will be looking at the whole show together, so all 5 seasons of Camp Cretaceous and all 4 seasons of Chaos Theory. So it's a little bit overdue, let's talk about this massive show.
Hold on to your butts.
The first season of Camp Cretaceous came out on Netflix in the year of 2020, and it's about a group of kids who in some way or another come to Jurassic World during the events of the first movie to take part in Camp Cretaceous, a dinosaur-themed camp in the park, which is exactly what it sounds like.
It's a bad idea!
Look, I'm from the UK, where kids camps just aren't really a huge thing here. They do exist, but they're way more far and in between. Probably because it's just constantly raining. I remember watching that episode of The Simpsons with Camp Krusty and thinking, these camps just sound awful. Just a bunch of kids sat around a campfire with just one adult with a guitar, a penknife, and never seems to notice the bigger kids bullying everyone? Jesus, America, no wonder you guys have a school shooting. So our lead character Darius wins the chance to go to this island because he's, like me, is a massive dino nerd. And right here, this is something I feel the Jurassic Park franchise has always done really well, showing us that Jurassic Park has always been about seeing these ancient animals as what they are. Animals. Like the way these characters look at them because they love them. I feel they do this in most, if not all, the films. Your Alan Grant, your Owen Grady, your Jonathan Bailey's character in the last one, if I could remember his name. Like, the way these characters look at the dinosaurs really is for us, the dino nerds. I can tell you how we do get emotional watching this because this right here, all these guys, this is our dream. Just to reach out and touch them and having these amazing animals be real because they were real. I recently went to the British Museum in London and I cried looking at some of these dead fossils because that's how we are. I'm actually getting a little emotional talking about it, I'm not gonna lie.
It's so beautiful.
But Darius is awesome. I want to go through every character, so we'll talk more about each and every one of them later. So all these characters are in this camp, and if you've seen the first Jurassic World movie, then you know it's going to go wrong.
What? What are you thinking?
So because of the events of the first Jurassic World movie, things go wrong and now our characters must survive on the island, running around with rampaging dinosaurs. So unlike anything from the Jurassic Park franchise, this is an animated show. The animation for the most part is pretty fine. The animation of the dinosaurs, I will say, looks amazing, and throughout this whole franchise, we have seen more dinosaurs in this show than any of the other films. The human characters do feel a little bit squeaky clean and clay-like it feels a little cheap, which is weird considering some of the producers of the show and, you know, Netflix. Like, come on, it's only the biggest streaming platform on the planet. Jesus, Netflix, give them some money. Like, the animation does look good, but it can feel a little bit robotic at times. It's not quite as smooth as the dinosaurs. I think it's because the dinosaurs all have these amazing textures of their skin in them, and that really make them pop out, you know what I mean? And then there's these smooth, bright humans, which can feel really jarring. I think it improves a lot in the later seasons because the lighting is a little bit better, but yeah, animation for the dinosaurs, amazing. Animation for the humans is fine, I guess. So let's talk about those main characters. So our lead is Darius, and he's easily my favorite. As I mentioned, he really represents me and the whole dino nerd culture. Like, he's not socially awkward, he's just very knowledgeable and passionate about these animals. Like, it would have been easy to give this guy a socially awkward ADHD vibe, but I love that he's just a guy who loves dinosaurs and isn't afraid to admit it. His performance from Paul Michael Williams is honestly incredible throughout, considering his age. But his character has always been a highlight. Like, even I admit there are great characters in other shows who maybe have occasionally annoying storylines or choices that they do that are like, ugh, why is this happening? But Darius never has that. He never does anything that annoys me, I never disagreed with him or thought he was annoying. He was just a great written character.
Thanks for not making me look stupid.
Ben is your classic, oh no, I lost my inhaler, socially awkward shy character, voiced very prominently by Sean Jambrone. Who, with a voice like that, he's kinda perfect. Usually these sort of characters would annoy most audience members, but I will admit, thanks to a great performance and the fact that his character probably has one of the best arcs in the show, going from this socially awkward stereotypical weak character to someone who comes out of his shell with help from an adoptive Ankylosaurus Bumpy, which by the way is probably the best dinosaur throughout the whole franchise. Ben really goes through everything in this show. His solo episode of learning how he and Bumpy survive is an easy highlight. Again, this character could have easily come across as very annoying, but the performance makes his character so compelling, and seeing this character come out of his skin as the show goes on is awesome.
Think you're tough? You don't know the meaning of tough.
Yaz is a character like Darius is very consistent. She's the most athletic of the characters and the most easiest character for us to follow. She isn't really much of a stereotype like the others, but she asks all the right questions and fills the audience in, and is probably the character who is played the most straight.
You sure about that? You sure about that?
In a cartoon show with dinosaurs, it's nice to have just a normal character who isn't constantly making jokes and actually says what the audience is thinking. Brooklyn is like Yaz in that her character is more straight. But like Ben, Brooklyn also has a great arc, especially in later seasons, with everyone thinking she had died and her story of infiltrating the broker. Also, she loses a hand. It's nice to see that a kids show can have some inclusivity, as well as just an incredibly traumatic event. Like, that is terrifying.
Whoa!
Brooklyn feels like the glue for the characters, with her interactions affecting everyone. They actually managed to do a bit of a love triangle with Brooklyn, which is actually pretty good considering. She's the character who is very questionable, and a lot of her actions make some very interesting drama throughout the entire series. Kenji falls into a bit of a stereotype.
Ah, a Japanese character. Make him come from money and crave his daddy's attention.
But as the show goes on, they use that stereotype for an interesting arc. His relationship with his father is done very well, and I like the idea of a slightly older character to be the cool character of the bunch. A person who's meant to be a bit of a show-off and be a classic cooler older kid with a massive heart of gold. Kenji for me also works for a lot of the humor. He's someone who is faking it till you make it kind of vibes, and while his character can feel one-dimensional, peeling back the layers makes for him having some of the highest moments in the show for me. You never know where Kenji is going to feel about a situation. And the last of the characters is Sammy, who for me is the weakest of the characters. I'm not saying her character is bad. She actually fills a very good role, being that she's someone who has an interest in animals due to her growing up on a ranch. For me, it's the execution of how this show is presented where Sammy sadly falls out of place in this show. While a lot of the characters do fall into a bit of a fun stereotype, there's nothing more clashing when you have a serious scene and she uses her classic Texas phrases that for me really take me out of it. The actress who plays her is from Texas but is of Mexican descent and doesn't sound like her character at all, so she is putting on an accent. And the accent for me is just very jarring and clashes with that tone. Like when a big dinosaur is coming at them and she comes out with a "Let's yonder out of here!" It's very off-putting. I feel like I'm looking at a female version of Goofy. It's also weird because I understand why she's here. Like, at the end of the day, this show is really catered towards kids. But the tone and even the creative team said that they wanted to make a show dark, which really the show is. So it's not Sammy's fault as a character, but also many times she says a joke that, isn't really a joke, and they think it's funny because she has a funny accent. That being said, her relationship with Yaz is really nice, and they play off each other really well. Speaking of that tone that I was talking about, one thing the Jurassic Park franchise has always been, and always will be, is that Jurassic Park is a horror movie. Like, as someone who always dreamed of dinosaurs being real, I also had my fair share of nightmares about them. And for good reason. They're scary. Have you seen the kitchen scene or even read the books? Like, I'm halfway through the first book, and by God, there is already some graphic stuff in this. As the franchise went on, I really felt like the franchise stopped making dinosaurs scary. They brought in these hybrids, which in my opinion was the worst thing to happen to the franchise. Like, if you've seen movies like Jaws, Crawl, or Anaconda... Okay, maybe that's a bad example.
I can blow in 10 minutes. Sorry if you're feeling sensitive. We could turn around and lose 2 days. It's up to you.
But animals can be scary. While this show does include probably my favourite hybrid, it also makes a lot of dinosaurs really scary. It uses dinosaurs as characters, like how in the first season there's a Carnotaurus called Toro, which is constantly hunting them. It allows these dinosaurs to stop feeling like random encounters, and seeing them again makes them feel more real, I guess. Like, they're not just unnamed monsters that come and go, they stay and react and become important to the plot. The show really went back to its roots of making dinosaurs scary again. While the dinosaurs are awesome, it does do what other Jurassic World films have done, which is having a hybrid. This show has the Scorpius Rex, which was a failed attempt by Dr. Wu that he made in the first start of the hybrid program. It's actually incredibly terrifying and does very well in this show. I think because the show is animated, it allows for some heightened reality compared to the rest of the franchise, which, has to stick to being real life with real life physics and stuff. The Scorpius Rex, outside of the D-Rex from Rebirth, is probably the most hybrid looking dinosaur we have. All of its scenes are incredibly scary and allow for some of the best moments in the show. Unlike the Indominus and the D-Rex, the Scorpius Rex can follow characters into buildings, making it one of the scariest villains in the franchise. While the hybrids have always been a mistake for the franchise, I think the Scorpius Rex works here due to it being only in one season and it doesn't overshadow other dinosaurs. Jurassic Park's themes have always been about playing with genetics and the idea of playing God being a bad thing. Don't play God, guys. If God exists, it's fucking me! And the Scorpius Rex is a theme for all of it. It's an abomination, but it still feels like a dinosaur. The show throughout its run also plays during the events of the Jurassic World franchise, with Season 1 mirroring the events of the first film, Season 5 having the events of Fallen Kingdom run parallel, although only slightly I guess, and its last few seasons of Chaos Theory run parallel to Dominion. I really like this choice of storytelling. It allows the events of the films to be included, but it doesn't overshadow its own story. At the heart of the whole show is this story and these characters. There are moments where they intertwine, but it never feels like Easter eggs for the sake of Easter egg. That being said, there is a lot of filler and what I would call sillier moments within the show's story. For instance, the character of Cash in seasons 4 and 5 was just a huge letdown and feels like a badly done Bond villain. They also introduce animal-like robots, which again feel really out of place, not just for this show, but for the franchise. Luckily, they aren't here for long, and I do think when the show transitions into Chaos Theory, its villains and story is improved massively. Chaos Theory just has more weight to it due to it being a little bit of a time jump. The characters have all grown up and become more serious, and that tone matches their maturity. Aside from, Sammy, that is. So not only does the main cast become more serious, but also so do its villains. Since the character of the Handler was introduced, this silent, creepy-looking character with Atrociraptors was always such a wonderful addition. We also get to see more of the Broker, who is a character in Dominion, and instead of it being just a one-dimensional villain, is actually given a lot more time to be fleshed out as a character, and her involvement in the series made for some great scenes. It's also the same actor who plays her, which is, always nice. One thing I didn't expect this show to be is how much of a character-driven story this show is. Something the original Jurassic Park film does so well is those characters. The scene where the characters are sat around a dinner table discussing everything is one of the best scenes in the movie. This film's themes have always been about the characters that are in them. In the original movie, the dinosaurs are only on screen for 15 minutes, which is crazy compared to its sequels when those films feel more like classic monster movies. But this show has always dived into how these characters feel and the emotions they go through. And its writing is, well, it's not subtle about it either.
Feelings, am I right?
Yes. Why do they have to be so complicated?
Ugh, emotions, am I right, kids? Being an adult sucks. Blech. Something I find really funny is that characters will openly talk about how they're overcoming their insecurities and stuff. Like, it's so obvious they're basically looking at the camera and saying, hey, talk about your feelings, kids, or, you know, don't afraid to be upset, or whatever. Like, while I know this is a great moment for the kids, it does technically make the characters feel more real and go through real traumatic events. But it's not subtle about it at all. But it does at least make the characters feel real with real emotions. Unlike 90% of the film's sequels where characters just feel like one-dimensional people with no real depth. Like in the sequels, every character is like, hey, I'm the tough one, and I'm the tough one's friend. All these characters are just disposable to be dino meals for the movie. None of these characters feel real or act like real people. But in this show, my god, do these characters feel real. Even Sammy, who I know I've crapped on a little bit in this video, she still feels real. I really appreciate this show for going out of its way to make layered and interesting characters when so much of the franchise doesn't have this. So while the characters of the show is what makes it work, the tone of this show is, well, it's all over the place.
I believe in you, Team Sammy!
Mi piacciono molte cose, ma poi con il tempo mi ci sono affezionata.
A secret lever? What were we thinking?
No clue.
We all have our own rooms with our own fluffy beds and pillows that are all ours.
Are you the one doing this? First Brooklyn, then my dad? Are we next on your list?
Remember the crates of sleeping gas canisters in the warehouse? Who would have thought the raptors would actually help us?
Looking back on the reviews for every season, a lot of the reviews are, is this too much or too scary for kids? I mean, a show like this, just looking at its animation, shows that the story is heavily marketed towards a younger audience. Like I mentioned, the character of Sammy is there for the kids, to have this more positive, heightened character, which is, even in the depth of danger, she's like, golly, that was close! But looking back, even Spielberg, who was one of the producers, didn't want this series to be a kiddie version of Jurassic Park. And you can see this by so many of the best episodes. The horror is some of the best in the franchise. But every time some grumpy old reviewer came out and said, oh, this might be too scary for kids, you can see the writers trying to balance it out with silly kids jokes and high-fiving when they get out of danger. As someone who has literally grown up with the first Jurassic Park movie, the film is scary and shouldn't be dulled down because they think kids will be scared. I mean, it's dinosaurs killing people. What do you think happens? People die, people get ripped to shreds. I mean, for crying out loud, what do you think was gonna happen? I always think it's interesting how we see horror in films and series, especially when it comes to our kids. Like, I'm not a parent. Being scared is a part of life. As someone who actually massively doesn't like mainstream horror, I enjoy my fair share of scary things. But Jurassic Park as a franchise has always been scary, and considering what it's about, I think it's fine to let our kids be scared of it.
Be afraid! Be very afraid! Oh my goodness.
Like, if we break this down a little bit, on one side you have Paranormal Activity. A lot of people consider this a very scary movie. And then at the other end you have Jurassic Park. And in the middle you have, I don't know, a movie like Alien or something. Like, all three very scary films. Let's be honest, no child should watch Paranormal Activity. Alien, kids can watch it, but maybe like in the day or with your older sibling or something. And then Jurassic Park, they can easily watch it on their own, late at night with all the lights off and, you know, just enjoy it for all it's worth. Like, there's so many levels of horror, and I always think Jurassic Park is fine when it comes to kids. But this show's tone is constantly going from creepy, horrifying dinosaurs to fun, friendly, yay, teamwork kind of vibes. I understand why they chose this, as especially these days, finding that balance is pretty much damn near impossible. But it's a shame because I just think about how much better this show could be, given how good it already is. I feel like I'm complaining a lot, so let me just be clear, this show has been amazing. And aside from the first Jurassic Park movie, is probably some of the best stuff. The tone is very conflicting and is so off-putting, and it just could have been so much better than what it was. Even though I really love this show and really do enjoy this show, it's kind of a weird thing, and it's a very difficult thing to get people into this. I'm telling my friends to go watch this show, but every time they look at it and see that vibe, they're like, this is just a silly little kid's show. But honestly, that's where Jurassic World Chaos Theory really surprised me the most. It's messy, it's wild, it's loud, but man, it is fun. If you're a Jurassic Park fan like me, then you're gonna have a blast picking apart the twists, the dinosaurs, and all the chaos that comes with it.
Now that was an adventure.
So yeah, final verdict, this show absolutely delivers on the hype. It's not perfect, but definitely worth your time. If you haven't watched it yet, then what are you doing? Like, seriously, I've probably given away so much. Go check it out and then come back and tell me your favorite moment. I want to hear what blew your mind the most. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this review. I've wanted to talk about this show since it came out, but I just never really knew how to go about it. Like, do I do every season or every episode? It's crazy. If you enjoyed it, smash that like button, drop a comment, and of course subscribe for more animation content and breakdowns. Thanks for watching, stay awesome, and I will see you all in the next one.